There's something strangely powerful about disappearing, about stepping back, even just emotionally, when all you want is to be loved and appreciated. You've given him everything, your time, your attention, your heart. But deep down, you know something isn't right. The more you give, the more he takes, and the less he seems to crave you. But what if I told you that the moment you step away just a little, you could spark something in him that he hasn't felt in a long time? What if disappearing just enough to make him realize what he's losing could make him crave you more than ever? Stick with me till the end, because I'm about to reveal how pulling back can bring a whole new level of desire into your relationship. You know the feeling, the silence that follows when you've given everything and yet something is missing. You've been there for him, always there, always available, always ready to meet his needs. But lately, you feel that something's changed. Maybe he's not as present, not as invested. It's almost like he's taken your presence for granted. You begin to wonder, does he even miss you when you're not around? It's a painful thought, isn't it? But here's something that might be harder to hear. Your constant availability may be doing more harm than good. In the effort to be there, to show up, to give everything, you may have unwittingly pushed him away. Not because you aren't worthy of his attention, but because you've made it too easy for him to have you. You've become a constant, something that's always there, always within reach. And somewhere along the way, that accessibility started to lose its value. Absence doesn't just create distance. It stirs something deeper. It ignites a longing, a desire. When you're always available, he doesn't have to think about what it would be like without you. But when you step back, when you give him space, it forces him to realize how much your presence means. The absence creates the opportunity for him to feel your value, to understand what he stands to lose. And that realization, that's when everything changes. It might feel unnatural at first. You might feel like you're abandoning him, like you're doing something wrong by pulling back. But in reality, you're giving him a gift, the gift of missing you. And it's in that space of longing that his true feelings will rise to the surface. It's when you step away that he begins to notice the depth of what he's been taking for granted. The thing about presence is this: too much of it can become routine. People don't crave what they have in abundance. Think about it. Have you ever truly craved something that's always been right in front of you? The answer is usually no. But the moment it's no longer there, it becomes something you can't stop thinking about. Absence amplifies the desire. It makes him realize how much he needs you, emotionally, physically, mentally, and how much your presence impacts his life. It's painful to admit, but when you stop giving him everything, that's when he starts to crave your attention. Not because he doesn't care, but because he hasn't had the chance to miss it. It's a delicate balance. By pulling back, you aren't withdrawing love or affection, but rather giving him the space to appreciate you. It's the subtle art of creating enough distance to allow longing to take root. And in that space, the connection deepens. You have to trust that your absence isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. It shows him that you have boundaries, that your time, your energy, your love are not limitless. When you stop chasing him, he's forced to take a step forward to meet you. And that step, it's not just physical, it's emotional. It's the recognition that you're worth more than he's been giving you. It's the acknowledgement that maybe he hasn't been showing up in the way you deserve. This is the magnetic power of absence. It's not about playing games or manipulating his feelings. It's about creating a space where he can see you, not just as a partner, but as someone whose presence he genuinely values. It's about trusting that when you step back, he will step forward. And in that forward motion, the relationship becomes more balanced, more meaningful, and more connected. And when he finally steps up to meet you, to truly show how much you mean to him, you'll realize that this distance, this absence, was never about separating you. It was about deepening the connection, about making it real. It was about awakening something in him that you couldn't have awakened while you were always there, always available. Absence does more than create distance. It creates the space for longing, for desire, for appreciation. It makes him realize that what he once took for granted is something he can't live without. And when that happens, the connection between you will never be the same. It will be stronger, more grounded, and more real. And you'll know that you didn't need to chase him to make him crave you. You just needed to step back and let him feel your absence. You've been given, haven't you? Giving your time, your love, your energy, and yet somehow it feels like it's never enough. You've shown up time and time again, with all your heart, ready to give whatever it takes to make things work. And at first maybe it felt good. Maybe you thought that giving all of yourself would lead to the connection you've been longing for. But now it feels like you're empty. Like the more you give, the less you get in return. It's hard to admit, but this is a trap you've fallen into. You thought that by giving everything, you would earn his love, his attention, his appreciation. But instead, all that giving has led to one thing: complacency. You've given so much that he doesn't have to try anymore. He doesn't have to step up. He doesn't have to appreciate you because you're always there, always giving, always showing up. And in that space where your giving becomes automatic, you lose something. You lose yourself. You lose the sense of being valued, not for how much you give, but for who you are. He stops seeing you as someone worthy of effort because you've made yourself so available, so predictable. You've made it too easy for him to take you for granted. But here's the truth. Overgiving doesn't make him love you more. It makes him take you for granted. It dulls the appreciation. It dulls the desire. Because when you're always there, when you give him everything, there's nothing left for him to desire. You've handed it all to him on a silver platter, and now he's not even hungry. And the worst part, you start to feel invisible. You feel like you're giving all of yourself, and yet you're not being seen. Not really. It's not that you shouldn't give. Love is about giving. Relationships are about supporting one another, lifting each other up. But there's a fine line. There's a place where giving crosses into self-sacrifice, where your needs get lost in the shuffle. And when you lose yourself in the act of giving, you've given away more than you realize. You've given away your worth. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt the emptiness that comes from overgiving? That sense that you've poured everything into someone, only to find that the more you give, the more they take, and the less they appreciate it. It's painful. It's exhausting. And it's not your fault. You were just trying to make things work. But the truth is, overgiving can drain you, and it can drain the relationship. But here's the shift that can change everything. You don't have to keep giving all of yourself to be loved. You can pull back just enough to create space for him to miss you, to make him crave your energy, your presence. By stepping back, even just a little, you give him the chance to realize your worth. You give him the opportunity to see you for who you truly are, not just as someone who's always there, but as someone whose presence is rare, precious, and worth fighting for. When you stop overgiving, you stop feeding complacency. You start to set boundaries. You start to show that you have value, that your time, your love, your energy aren't infinite. They're sacred. And when you give them, it should mean something. You don't have to sacrifice your needs to meet his. You don't have to lose yourself in the process of loving him. You can love him deeply and still protect yourself. You can be there for him and still keep a part of yourself whole. This isn't about playing games or withdrawing to punish him. It's about creating balance. It's about knowing that you are worthy of effort too. And when you pull back, just enough to create space, it's not about pushing him away. It's about giving him the chance to come to you, to show you how much he values you, to make him realize that you're not just someone he can always rely on without putting in effort. You're someone worth pursuing, someone worth fighting for. By stepping back, you don't just create space for him to miss you. You create space for him to appreciate you in ways he never could when you were always there, always giving. And in that space, the relationship can evolve. It can grow. the connection can become deeper, more meaningful, because now he sees you, not as a constant in his life that he takes for granted, but as someone who is valuable, someone whose love is not a guarantee, it's earned. And when he comes back, when he finally realizes what he's been missing, it will be because you had the courage to stop giving everything. It will be because you stopped waiting for him to meet your needs, and instead you started meeting your own. That's the breakthrough. That's the shift. You stop over-giving, and you start creating the space for real appreciation. And in that space, the love you've been craving has room to grow. You know that feeling, right? When everything feels so easy, so predictable, you're there, always available, always showing up, always giving him everything he could ever need. It feels good at first, right? Like you're connecting, like he's starting to see you. But over time, something changes. He starts to pull away. It's not because you're not enough. It's because you've made everything too easy. There's no room left for desire to grow. The truth is, the more he knows, the less he craves. Think about it. When something is always in front of you, when it's always available, the spark begins to fade. Desire. Real desire isn't something that can be nurtured when everything is laid out in front of you, neatly packaged, easily accessible. Real passion is built in the spaces where curiosity lingers, where you don't give it all at once. It thrives in the unknown. You might be wondering, but I'm giving him everything. How could that be a bad thing? The problem isn't in what you're giving. The problem is in how much you're giving. How much of yourself you're making available. The more you give, the less he has to wonder about. The more you lay everything out, the less space there is for him to imagine, to crave. Desire isn't born from familiarity. It's born from mystery. When was the last time you left something for him to figure out? When did you last hold back just enough to leave him wanting more? The temptation is strong to give all of yourself, to show everything at once, to pour out your heart, your desires, your plans. But here's the thing, when you give everything, you take away the very thing that makes him want to chase you. You take away the mystery. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about creating space for him to wonder. It's about withholding just enough emotionally, physically, mentally, so that he's always intrigued, always coming back for more. It's about making him realize that there's more to you than meets the eye, and that the deeper he digs, the more he uncovers. The curiosity fuels desire. The absence of everything fuels the longing. Have you ever noticed how powerful it is when someone holds back just a little? It draws you in. It makes you lean forward, makes you want to know more. It's the same with relationships. When you hold something back, when you don't give all of yourself right away, you make him crave the pieces of you he hasn't seen yet. He starts to want to know more, not just because of what you've shown him, but because there's more to discover. The irony is that the more you make yourself available, the less he wants to invest. But when you step back, when you give him the space to wonder, you spark something deep within him. Desire is not just about closeness, it's about the tension between being close and being distant, between giving and withholding. That balance is what makes him crave you. This doesn't mean you stop being yourself. It doesn't mean you withhold your love, your warmth, your connection. It means you stop giving all of you right away. You let him earn it. You let him desire it. Desire isn't something you can demand. It's something that's built over time, piece by piece. When you hold a little back, when you leave him wanting more, you make that desire grow. Imagine what would happen if you started holding back just a little. Not in a way that pushes him away, but in a way that pulls him closer. Imagine the desire that would rise in him when he realizes there's more to you than what he's already seen. That mystery, that space for him to wonder, is what keeps the connection fresh, alive. It keeps the desire burning. And here's the breakthrough moment. Mystery is not about making him chase endlessly without ever being satisfied. It's about creating a dynamic where both of you are constantly discovering each other. It's about keeping the spark alive, about allowing the connection to deepen in unexpected ways. When you give him the chance to miss you, to wonder about you, you create a desire that is rooted in curiosity, not in routine. Desire thrives in the unknown. When you stop laying everything bare and instead create space for him to uncover more of you, he'll begin to crave the deeper connection, the more intimate moments. And when that desire ignites, it's powerful. It doesn't burn out, it fuels something lasting, something real. So, let him wonder. Hold back just enough to keep the mystery alive. When you stop giving everything away, when you let him crave you, that's when everything shifts. Desire will grow, and when he finally gets what he's been longing for, he'll appreciate it, and you, more than you ever imagined. You've been there, haven't you? So deep in the relationship that somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. You gave so much, loved so hard, and invested so deeply in someone else that you didn't even notice when your own identity started to slip away. You became we, not you, not him, just we. The problem is, in the process of merging with someone else, you stopped nurturing the very thing that made you powerful, your own sense of self. It's easy to get lost in love, in companionship. It's tempting to pour all your energy into someone else, to try and make them happy, to make the relationship work. But here's the painful truth. When you lose yourself in someone else, you stop being the person he was initially drawn to. And not only does this leave you feeling empty, but it also shifts the dynamics of your relationship. Men crave women who are whole on their own. They're drawn to women who have their own passions, their own dreams, their own identity. It's not about being independent just for the sake of it. It's about being confident in your own life, being the best version of yourself, so that you don't need someone to fill the gaps within you. You need to be complete before you can truly connect with another person. Right now, if you feel that yearning, like something is missing, like there's a void between who you are and who you used to be, it's because you've forgotten the person you were before the relationship, before everything else. It's easy to get wrapped up in what he needs, in what the relationship needs. But what about what you need? What about your own passions, your own growth, your own sense of purpose? When you stop nourishing your independence, you start to feel depleted. You feel like you're giving everything to someone else and wondering why it feels like you're running on empty. The truth is, you've been running on someone else's fuel, and that's never going to fill you up. Rediscovering your independence isn't about pushing him away. It's about coming back to yourself. It's about remembering who you were before him, before the relationship, and embracing the strength and beauty that was always there. When you give yourself permission to pursue your passions, to invest in your own happiness, you become a magnet. You become the woman who radiates confidence, who walks through the world with strength, because you don't need validation from anyone else. You are enough. You are always enough. And when you remember that, when you reclaim your independence, you'll notice how he starts looking at you differently. He won't see you as someone who needs him. He'll see you as someone he wants. There's a magnetic power in independence. It doesn't come from being distant or emotionally unavailable. It comes from knowing your own worth. When you stand tall in your own life, when you're confident in who you are, it makes your presence even more magnetic. You become someone who has a life of her own, someone who doesn't rely on him for happiness, but someone he wants to be with because of the strength, the depth, and the energy you bring into the relationship. Think about this. When was the last time you felt truly alive? When was the last time you were so immersed in your own life? Your goals, your passions, your sense of self, that you didn't need to be validated by anyone. When you were focused on you, not in a selfish way, but in a way that allowed you to grow into the person you've always been meant to be. That's the kind of woman men are drawn to. Not because she doesn't care for him or doesn't love him, but because she loves herself first. And when she loves herself, it creates space for him to love her deeper. If you feel like you've been lost, it's not too late. The path back to yourself is always there, waiting for you to walk it. It's time to rediscover what makes you, you. Take time for your hobbies, for your friends, for your own dreams. Spend time doing what fills you up, what makes your heart beat faster. When you do this, you're not just reclaiming your independence, you're reclaiming your power. And when you stand strong in that power, you're not just going to attract him, you're going to attract everything you deserve. You're not just someone's partner, you're a woman with her own purpose, her own life. And when you show up as that woman, he won't just crave you, he'll respect you, admire you, and love you more deeply than ever before. Because a man doesn't just want someone to need him, he wants someone who stands beside him as an equal, someone who brings their own strength into the relationship. That's where the true connection happens. That's where the passion grows. And it all starts with you rediscovering your independence, your strength, and your worth. You've been there, giving everything you have, laying your heart on the line, offering all of yourself in the hopes that it'll create the connection you want. But somewhere along the way, it started to feel like you were always the one giving, always the one trying to make things work. And despite everything you gave, you felt a growing distance, like he wasn't as invested as you were. And that feeling, that ache in your chest, made you question, am I too much? Or am I just not enough? You tried harder. You became more available, more present. But instead of pulling him closer, it seemed like you were only pushing him further away. The more you gave, the more he withdrew. It felt like an endless cycle. You wanted him to care. You wanted him to see you. You wanted him to crave the same connection you were putting your heart into. But the more you gave, the less it seemed to matter. Here's the truth you might not want to hear. Emotional distance is not about playing games. It's not about creating drama, about testing him or manipulating him. It's about something far deeper, self-preservation. It's about setting a boundary, even in love. Because the moment you lose yourself in someone else, you lose the very essence of what makes you you. And without that, there's nothing for him to be drawn to. Emotional distance isn't about disappearing entirely. It's about giving him the space to realize what he's missing without forcing it. It's about pulling back just enough to let him feel the absence of you, to let him understand your value. You see, when you give too much of yourself, when you make yourself always available, it's easy for someone to take you for granted. They don't have to work for your attention, your love, or your time. And that's when desire starts to fade. But when you pull back, when you create emotional space, you give him room to miss you. Not in a manipulative, calculated way, but in a way that allows him to recognize your worth. It's about making sure that your energy, your presence, is something he has to earn. And when you step back just enough, not in anger, not in retaliation, but as a way of showing that you have your own life, your own needs, your own boundaries, it pulls him toward you in ways that nothing else can. It's about finding balance. You don't disappear. You don't shut him out. You just stop overextending yourself. You stop being always on, always giving, always chasing. You start creating the space for him to feel the importance of your presence. When you do this, you force him to meet you where you are. You force him to step up, to realize that you're not just there to fill the gaps in his life. You're someone who has your own world, your own dreams, your own strength. And that's what he's been missing. There's nothing more magnetic than someone who knows their worth. When you pull back, you stop waiting for him to complete you. You stop hoping that your love will somehow make him see you. You realize that you are already whole. And when you stand in that space, when you stand in your power, that's when he feels the shift. And it doesn't need to be dramatic. You don't need to play games. You don't need to manipulate his emotions or try to make him jealous. You simply need to focus on yourself, prioritize your own needs, your own happiness, and by doing that, you will give him the opportunity to see you, truly see you again. He will start to realize what it feels like to be without you. He will start to miss the energy you bring into his life. And when that happens, he'll step forward, not because he feels pressured, but because he feels the pull of what you represent in his life. Someone who is confident, strong, and independent. The key here is this. When you stop overgiving, when you stop chasing and start honoring your own space, you create a natural pull that draws him in. This isn't about trickery. It's about self-respect. It's about showing him that you are someone who deserves to be valued, not just in the good times, but when things are hard too. In the end, creating emotional distance doesn't make you less available. It makes you more real. It makes you more desirable. Because the truth is, when you stop being the one to always give, always chase, always show up, when you allow him the space to recognize your worth, that's when you create the deepest connection. That's when you bring out the best in each other. So stop pouring from an empty cup. Stop losing yourself in the name of love. Step back. And in that space, you'll find not just your strength, but a relationship that values you. Not because you've given everything, but because you've learned to preserve your energy and set boundaries that allow the connection to grow in a way that's truly fulfilling for both of you. Have you ever felt like you've been chasing after someone, giving everything you have, yet it feels like they're never quite meeting you halfway? You put in the effort, you show up, you give them your time, your energy, your heart, and yet it doesn't seem to be enough. It's like the more you give, the more they pull back. And you start asking yourself, am I not worth the effort? But here's the painful truth. You've been giving so much of yourself because you haven't fully recognized your worth. You've been chasing, hoping, and giving without realizing that you don't need to chase anyone to prove you're worthy. The real shift happens when you stop giving away your value and start seeing it for yourself. The moment you recognize your worth, everything changes. You stop chasing. You stop hoping for validation. You stop being the one who always has to prove your place in someone's life. When you start respecting your own worth, something shifts in the energy between you and him. When you stop being constantly available, when you stop giving every ounce of yourself without receiving the same in return, that's when he starts to realize how much he needs you. That's when he sees that your presence is not something to be taken for granted. It's something he has to earn. But it's so easy to get lost in this cycle, isn't it? You give and you give and you give, hoping that one day they'll finally give back what you deserve. But the truth is, if you keep chasing someone, if you keep making yourself always available, you're telling them that they don't need to put in the effort. You're telling them that you're not valuable enough to be treated with the respect you deserve. And worse, you're telling yourself the same thing. You have to recognize that you are not here to prove your worth to anyone. You are worthy simply because you are. You are worthy of love, of attention, of respect. The moment you understand that, you stop giving everything to someone who's not meeting you halfway. And that doesn't mean you stop loving them or caring for them or being there for them. It means you stop making them the center of your universe. It means you put your own value first. When you respect your own worth, it doesn't just shift your dynamic with him, it shifts everything. Suddenly, you are no longer the one chasing after their attention. They are the ones who have to meet you where you are. And when they realize that, they have to work to keep your attention, to keep your love, that's when the true desire starts to build. Because here's the thing, people crave what they don't have. When you're always available, always at their beck and call, they don't have to work for it. But the moment you pull back, the moment you show them that you have your own life, your own goals, your own sense of self, they can't help but realize the true value of your presence. They realize that you're not someone they can take for granted, that you're not someone who will always be there without question. And when they realize this, they'll crave you more than ever before. It's not about playing games. It's not about making them beg for your attention. It's about you recognizing your worth so deeply that you no longer settle for less than you deserve. When you show up in your own life with strength, with confidence, with boundaries that protect your energy, you become magnetic. And the right people, the ones who truly see your value, will be drawn to you. But more importantly, you'll attract the kind of respect and love that you deserve. Because you've shown the world and yourself that you won't settle for anything less. And when that happens, when you finally stop chasing and start valuing yourself, you'll find that your relationships transform. No longer will you feel like you're constantly giving. Now you'll see the balance, you'll see the respect, you'll see the mutual effort, and that's when love becomes real. That's when your presence is truly felt, because it's earned, not taken for granted. You don't need to chase anyone to prove your worth. You don't need to be constantly available to be loved. You are valuable just as you are, and the moment you respect that, when you truly see the strength and beauty of who you are, everything changes. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. You've been there, haven't you? When the days start blending together, when the passion that once burned so brightly starts to flicker, just a faint glow. You see him, you talk to him, you share your lives together, but something feels off. It's not that the love isn't there, it's not that you've stopped caring, but the spark, the magic, it's slipping away, slowly, quietly. And you start to wonder what happened. Where did that fire go? Maybe you've tried everything. You've tried to be more attentive, more affectionate, more present, but the more you give, the more it feels like it's not enough. You keep trying to ignite that flame, but it just won't catch. Here's the thing, passion doesn't always come from giving more. Sometimes it comes from stepping back. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in a relationship is give space. Not to distance yourself, but to give both of you the chance to miss each other. To pull back just enough so that the absence doesn't create emptiness. It creates longing. And that longing, that's where the spark reignites. Absence isn't about leaving or playing games. It's not about creating distance to make someone chase you. It's about creating room for the relationship to evolve. When you're always together, always wrapped up in each other's presence, it's easy to take each other for granted. The small moments lose their value. The little things that once made your heart race become just another part of the routine. The connection becomes stale, and neither of you knows how to breathe new life into it. But when you pull back, whether it's emotionally or physically, you create space. You create space for him to feel the absence of you. You create room for him to remember the parts of you he loves, the parts of you that he misses. When you're not always there, when you're not always giving, he starts to see your worth in ways he hadn't before. And the same goes for you. You start to realize that you miss the parts of him you've taken for granted. You see him through new eyes, and the spark, that flame that was fading, starts to burn again. It's a difficult thing to do, to let go even for a little while, to trust. That space doesn't mean the end of the relationship. It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? You think the more you give, the more you love, the more you show up, the more connected you'll be. But what if I told you that sometimes less is more? Sometimes you need to step back so that you can both breathe, so you can both appreciate what you truly mean to each other. When you pull back, you stop forcing connection. You allow it to happen naturally. You allow it to grow in the spaces where you're not constantly attached to each other. Absence gives you both the chance to miss each other, to realize how much you truly value one another. It creates room for the passion that was once there to re-emerge, fresh and exciting, like a flame reignited after being smothered by the weight of too many familiar days. This doesn't mean you abandon the relationship or shut down emotionally. It means you create a healthy distance where both of you have the time and space to reflect on your bond, to appreciate the things that drew you together in the first place. When you return to each other, the connection feels renewed. It feels like it has depth, like it has meaning again. The time apart makes every moment together feel more precious, more valuable. And here's the breakthrough. The moment you stop clinging to the relationship, the moment you stop forcing the connection, you give both of you the freedom to rediscover one another. You give each other the space to remember what made the connection so powerful in the first place. It's not about disappearing forever. It's about allowing the space for desire, longing, and passion to resurface. When you embrace this space, when you allow absence to do its work, you stop taking the relationship for granted. You stop expecting it to always be at your fingertips. And in doing so, you open up the possibility for something deeper, something more powerful. You give your relationship the chance to evolve into something even more beautiful than it was before. So when you start to feel that the connection is slipping, don't chase harder. Don't give more of yourself. Take a step back. Let the absence breathe new life into the love you share. And when you come back together, you'll realize that the spark never truly left. It was always there, waiting to be reignited. Have you ever felt like you're constantly talking, constantly trying to fill the space between you? You give him everything, your thoughts, your feelings, your energy. You're always available, always present, always giving. But despite all of that, something feels missing. It's like there's a disconnect. He doesn't seem as engaged, as invested as you are. The more you try to close the gap, the more distant it feels. And the truth is, you've been filling every space between you, but in doing so, you've robbed him of the chance to miss you. Silence. It's one of the most powerful tools you can use in a relationship, but we're often afraid of it. We fill every pause with words, with actions, with gestures, because silence feels uncomfortable. We think that silence equals distance, that it means something's wrong. But silence, when used wisely, doesn't create distance. It creates longing. It creates space for desire to grow. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you stopped being the one to fill every silence? When was the last time you gave him the space to wonder about you, to miss you? We're taught that the more we give, the more we show up, the more we share, the stronger the connection will be. But sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes when you pull back just enough, you stop trying so hard, and you allow him the space to feel your absence. That's when things start to shift. That's when he begins to crave you. When you withdraw, even just emotionally, you don't lose him. You make him realize what he's been taking for granted. You make him feel the weight of your presence in a way he never could when it was always there, always within reach. When you stop giving so much, when you stop being the one to always fill the gaps, you give him the opportunity to come to you. You allow him to realize just how much you mean, how much your presence, your energy, your love truly matters. It's not about playing games. It's not about withdrawing to punish him or to create drama. It's about honoring your own needs. It's about recognizing that you don't have to constantly prove your worth by being there every second of the day. You don't have to be the one to always initiate, always offer, always give. When you step back, even just a little, you give him the chance to come to you. You give him the opportunity to miss you. And in that absence, desire is born. This isn't about becoming distant or cold. It's about understanding the power of space. Space to think, space to reflect, space to feel the distance between you and realize that the connection, the desire, is something worth pursuing. Because when you're always available, when you're constantly filling the silence, there's nothing left for him to long for. You become predictable, and predictability kills passion. When you stop filling every silence, you start giving him the chance to really see you, not just as someone who's always there, but as someone whose presence is special, whose attention is valuable. You allow him to appreciate you in a way he never could when you were always within arm's reach. The longer he has to wait, the more he'll crave you. And when he finally gets that moment with you, when you come back into the space, it will mean more than it ever did before. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you shut down emotionally. It means you start recognizing your own worth, your own space, and you stop filling every void. You stop being the one to always show up. And in doing so, you give him the chance to step up. You give him the chance to miss you, to value you, to desire you in a way that's rooted in absence and longing. When you do this, the dynamic changes. You stop being someone who is constantly available, and you become someone who is desired. Because desire isn't something you can demand. It's something that comes when you create space. When you stop filling every silence and leave room for him to feel the pull of your presence, that's when he starts to crave you. That's when the connection becomes deeper, more meaningful, and ultimately more powerful. You are not a placeholder. You are not something to be taken for granted. You are worthy of being desired, of being missed, of being craved. And the moment you stop giving everything away, the moment you create space for him to come to you, that's when you'll realize the true power of silence. It's in that space that desire is born, that longing is awakened and that connection is reignited.